Hello, welcome to Retrotainment. Back here with my co-host, capital C, capital O, Greg. How are you doing, buddy?
What's happening, homie?
Nothing much, nothing much. Just continuing on with our Murray March.
Can't bet a bit of Bill Murray.
Yeah, going on to a film that's definitely more of a comedy than the last one that we did.
Well, this I think is his best comedy role.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, he's not so much comedy in Ghostbusters either, really.
It just happens to happen for him.
Yeah, possibly The Dead Don't Die is he's possibly more of a comedy role in that, but definitely this would be up there.
Yeah, I think this is probably my favorite Bill Murray movie.
Ghostbusters is probably still mine.
Yeah, I do love Ghostbusters. I love this. There's just something hilarious about this. I think it's more that Rodney Dangerfield and Chevy Chase are in it as well.
I think, yeah, see, that's what I was going to say. This is why this wouldn't be my favorite Bill Murray film, because I actually think that although Bill Murray is in this film,
Yeah,
he's not the star. It's not the star. I wouldn't say anyone's really the star. Do you know what I mean? Like, it kind of bounces between all of them.
Chevy Chase is the big one, really, isn't he?
Chevy Chase is, but also the story doesn't. He's not the focal point. Do you know the way, like, usually with a film, there's a focal point character. I suppose Danny, young Danny, the caddy, is probably the focal point, but it bounces off of him to somebody else and then off to somebody else quite frequently. Yeah. That no one's ever really the focal point.
It's brilliant, though.
Oh yeah, it's very good. It's. I don't think there's an argument to say it's in the top two comedy golf films anyway of all time. This and Happy Gilmore. For me, I'd still go Happy Gilmore over this.
So Happy Gilmore and this are different types of comedy.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd go Happy Gilmore over this, but I could 100% see why some people would go this over Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, I'd flip flop now myself.
Yeah, I think Happy Gilmore just has the style of comedy I like more. This was still very good, but
to watch as well.
Yeah, it's more it's more focused on its main character. Like everyone else does split off a little bit, but it's more focused on Happy than there's anything else. This was released 25th of July 1980. So it's right in the time where Bill Murray's at the height of his powers, I suppose.
Would it be though? This is probably near enough to start of it.
I don't know. He's done Ghostbusters by this point. Or no, sorry, Ghostbusters
84.
Yeah, sorry, Ghostbusters 84. Yeah, so this is probably the start of him, coming up. Yeah. And you can see, like, he's not, as you said, he's not the main Bill on this either.
Yeah.
You know, well, he is the main Bill because he's Bill Murray, but
he's not the
Bill. Yeah, he's not the one, that's headlining it. As you say, it's Chevy Chase is really the one headlining this.
I'm trying to think back to 1980. I don't think Chevy Chase is even the headliner. I'd say it's Rodney Dangerfield.
Rodney Dangerfield is definitely more well known, but he's not an actor either. He's a comedian. True, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So
I'd say he was the big name in it, though.
He's probably the biggest name, but I don't know if you'd say he was the actor. The actor.
He's a good actor too, actually. To be honest,
he does it well, but like in terms of his acting credentials, there's not a huge amount there. 59 critics have this at 73%, and then an audience score of 87, which is probably about right, I would say.
Yeah, like I'm surprised with the type of comedy that it is as well, that it's at 77, or what would you say, 70?
73 from critics.
73. It's still pretty high for that kind of a movie.
Yeah, I think some of the name value does add to it as well. I think the guy who plays Judge Smales is a big name as well around this time.
I can't think of his name off the top of my head now.
It's Ted something, but I can't put my finger on the actual name. Box office wise, it didn't do amazingly. 60 million. So I suppose I can see why, like, people were thinking a comedy about golf is going to be
not
questionable at best, I suppose, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Ted Knight.
Ted Knight, yeah, that's who it is. Yeah, I can see why maybe it wasn't what people expected it to be to an extent. But I think it definitely built up from there. People did grow to love it.
Yeah, like golf was starting to hit it was still at that height of growing stage.
Yeah, Tiger hadn't popped up yet.
Jack Nicklaus was starting to become massive, and then he went on to obviously do what he done, and the players that came with it, and
Yeah.
then the evolution of golf just became.
Yeah, well, I mean,
great.
when Tiger walked in, the game changed, didn't it?
Yeah, well, he just changed the game because of the age and the style, and
Yeah,
then
and
obviously branding then became a thing, and sponsorship for everything.
yeah, age, style, and the fact that he was dominating. You know, like
Yeah,
nobody before him had dominated the way he had.
Jack had.
Jack had to an extent, but not to the extent that Tiger did. I mean, like there's still what's it called? The Tiger year. Like the perfect year is obviously to win all four majors in the one
Oh,
circuit.
he held them all, yeah. And before the last US Open became available again, he'd won the other three.
Yeah, so then instead of winning them in one calendar year, he won them the final three of the year, and then the first one next year. So technically, he won all four of them, but not in a calendar year.
He was holding them all at one stage.
Yeah, so do you know what I mean? Like no one had done that before him. Like that's what I mean by no one had dominated the way he did.
Yeah. And I was delighted to see when he won the 70 tournament that he.
Yeah, I was happy to see him get a chance. Like after falling away so far, I was happy to see him get back to that height at some point. He'll never be what he was, and I don't think anyone else ever will be either. But
no, it'd be near impossible at this stage. Well, nothing's impossible, but
yeah, it'd be shocking to see someone do it. This film, that I love the way this film opens with the it's giving you the names of the actors and stuff, and the little the gopher is like digging through the ground and then doing a little dance to the music and stuff. It's just
the little it's just a little teddy.
It sets up the film so well, though, doesn't it? You know, like
okay,
this film is not going to be serious because we have a gopher who is literally dancing to the theme song of this film. Yeah, you knew it was where you were going from there.
Well, you knew when you looked at the cast as well. But like, if you turned it on and was like, "What's this?"
Yeah, but I mean, Bill Murray could do serious acting roles. Chevy Chase, maybe not so much.
Chevy Chase is a good actor.
He is, but he didn't do too many serious roles. Like he was always kind of a comedy.
Like Jim Carrey definitely followed on from Chevy Chase's footsteps.
Yeah.
Like it is what it is. You go to your well and you keep going to it.
Oh yeah,
you can.
Oh yeah, like it's not a knock on him. It's just that
Oh yeah.
When you see some of these names, you could be like, well, I suppose they could go a bit serious with it. And then the first scene is a gopher dancing along to music. You're like, okay, no, they're not going in any way serious with this. This is a complete piss take. Like, I love the opening. Danny's coming out of the house, and it's the most packed house I've ever seen. Like we did a Home Alone before, and we were saying that house was pretty packed. This is even worse. There's like 40 kids in it.
Yeah, these are poor.
Yeah, but they're not only poor. It's like all the cousins and stuff are living there as well, and it's just the mum and dad.
That's what I mean. The whole family are just poor, like.
Yeah, but there's no aunts, no uncles, just the mum, dad, and then like 40 children, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? Where are the rest of these parents?
A lot of them work on the golf course as well.
Yeah, a lot of them seem to work on the golf course. Danny is obviously the eldest, is what we're meant to believe anyway.
Yeah, and he has the potential to be a good golfer.
It seems that way. He's out with we kind of see him go out with Ty Webb, and he's asking him, what did you do when, like, did you ever think about your future when you were my age and stuff? And man, Ty's like, no. What do you mean think about my future? No, I never thought of any of that. He's like, yeah, I think I'm gonna end up working in the lumber mill for the rest of my life. Well, what's wrong with lumber mills? I own 2 of them. You ever been to them? Nah, not really sure where they are.
I love Chevy Chase though.
Yeah, and it shows like the idea that you didn't need to worry about your future because you were so goddamn rich. I don't have that luxury. I need to worry about this.
Yeah, it's mad. Like you see, I suppose though, when you live in a town like that back in then, when the caddies were done that way, like you pay a little percentage to the caddy master, and then you take the rest, and that's you done.
Yeah, and like Pete, that is like a lot of people would have grown up in small towns like that where they knew their job was going to be in the lumber mill, and that's definitely what they're going to do with the rest of their life.
And isn't it that's an honest job?
Yeah, it's an honest, hardworking job, but like they all wanted something a bit more, a college education and stuff, and college isn't cheap, so they had to save up for it. But
Some people know it's not for them though, really, don't they?
Yeah, and that's kind of what Ty keeps getting at him here. He's like, "Do you want to go to college?" And he's like, "Oh, well, my parents want." And he's like, "Yeah, but stop worrying about what they want. Do you want to go to college?" It's like, you need to just, do what you want. Let the universe guide you. And then he puts on the blindfold
And he
and
puts chips in, yeah.
He chips it over the lake. I love that, he's so mismanaged until he gets given the club though. Like he knocks all his other clubs over until Danny hands him the club, and then it's just like, oh yeah, now I know what to do. Pop.
Yeah, it's just talent, isn't it?
Yeah, and then he gives Danny a go at it, and it's straight into the lake. Yeah, well, that'll happen, kid.
Yeah, it's thing, and then you get this way you meet Judge
Smales. Well, we see the gopher wrecking the golf course, and they don't really give him a name, but like the guy who's in charge of like the greenkeeping is just this Scottish guy apparently. I don't know why he's there and why he's Scottish, but he's only Scottish for his accent by the sounds of it.
They definitely used that in The Simpsons when they had Willie doing it in one episode.
I think so, yeah. But I do like they clearly just went with it for the accent, because he tells Carl, which is Bill Murray's character, "I want you to kill all the gophers." And he's like, "I don't know, if I kill all the golfers, they'll lock me up and throw away the key." "Not the golfers, the gophers."
Oh, the gophers.
Yeah, I love that. Like, and it's clearly the only reason they brought him in. And as he walks off, Bill Murray's character, Carl, is just like, "Yeah, and I'll get the gophers too." It's so good.
It's so funny, and you're like, what the hell is going on here?
So far, the film has been a young kid trying to get advice off this like rich, suave kind of guy, and then this broken down drunk trying to kill it, like being told to kill a gopher. That's the plot line of the film so far, like.
And that's how it stays.
It pretty much does. We kind of see Danny get into it over one of the other caddies, and then they the fight kind of breaks out, and they break the sweet machine, and then they
over the Pepsi, wasn't it?
It was over the Coke. Yeah, I'm not paying. I ain't paying no 50 cent for no Coke. I mean, if you're being charged 50 cent now for a can of Coke, you'd be fucking loving life, wouldn't you?
Laughing, you'd be.
Yeah.
Laugh.
But I love this. Yeah, they kind of have the little bit of the fight, and then they learn that the guy who'd won the caddy scholarship he's died, and they're like, "Oh, he died of anxiety. I heard he got sick and then choked on it." And you're like, "Geez, they really pass over the fact that this young kid is dead, don't they?" Like, just real. Yeah, well, he's dead, right? So one of yous can now win it, and you better kiss up to Judge Smales now if you want to win it. Nobody cares. This kid died like choking on his own sick or with a panic attack or something, and they're all just like, yeah, but the caddy, you can get this caddy scholarship now. That's it. That's all they care about.
I mean, it is what it is, isn't it? You got to look out for number one.
Yeah, and Danny takes it up. He's like, "Listen, I'll go and I'll caddy for Judge Smales." And Judge Smales is dirt at golf and keeps cheating and everything.
It's so funny, just kicking the ball along.
Yeah, kicking it along, and he's like, I'm interested in law. And Judge Smales is just having none of the brown nosing at all.
No, you're not, pal. Get out of here.
And this is when we get Al come in, which is Rodney, and he steals the show. Like when he walks on, you're just like, fucking hell, this lad is so funny. Like you
every
can see
every scene he's in.
Yeah, you can see why he was such a popular comedian, because he walks in and you're just like, his voice is so recognizable as well. Even if you've never seen him in anything, you'd still know him from even just the one line. Yeah, even just the one line though, like because you hear his voice and you're like, I don't get no respect at all. That's him, like because of his voice. You know what I mean?
He comes in, he has like the big foghorn and all. It's so funny.
Comes in and he's like, I bet you're gonna skewer that shot over to the right. I am not gonna skewer this shot over to the right. First thing he does, pops it over to the right, and then he kicks it out. And Danny's just like, yeah, do whatever you want. And then Smales is like, here you were out with the Ty there the other day. What did he shoot? Like a 70, an 80? He's like, I don't know. He doesn't keep track. Yeah, but if you had to guess, I don't know, like a 68 or something, which is sick. Like
it's 400, yeah.
Yeah, like
not
if you're
for an amateur.
Yeah, well, someone who's doesn't even bother keeping score. So like he's just out there and like he's blindfolding himself and hitting them over. Like that's a deadly score.
Yeah, he's very good. He doesn't like competitions though.
Yeah, it seems that he doesn't have the head for them.
Got the bottle.
Yeah, it seems that way as well. But then we see Al comes out again as there's a fairly easy putt for the judge to make here, and he's like, "I bet you $1,000 you don't make that putt." And it draws a big crowd. Everyone comes over to look, and he misses the putt.
All of a sudden, as soon as any kind of money goes on that, the hole could be 3 feet in size. It shrinks to about 2 inches.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. He doesn't accept the bet, so like there's no pressure on him now, other than the fact that everyone has come over to watch if he's going to sink this putt. And when he doesn't, he does the old Happy Gilmore. I'll fuck this club over here now.
He goes for it all right, and he tries to welly it.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going to throw it out into the green, and then turns around and throws it at the clubhouse. And you're like, I think you would have been better just tossing it off into the golf course, because nobody's out there. You can see nobody's out there.
Not Happy Gilmore and break a rake into the woods.
Yeah, but when he fires it in there and you hear the big crash, they go up, and he's like, "What do you mean it slipped? It just slipped out of my hands. I didn't throw it." And Danny covers for him. This is him like really sucking up. He's like, "Oh, I can see the grip was bad and I didn't say it." I mean, how bad would your grip on a putter have to be for that to happen? Because you're not fucking wellying a putter like.
Your hands are sweaty. I can't control where the ball's gonna go.
Yeah, I mean, but like if it was a driver or something, you'd be like, yeah, well, you take a big swing back with a driver. A putter, you're doing a nice little tap it in. Yeah, you're not fucking wellying a putter out of it to fire it that far back.
Yeah, it's he can get away with whatever he wants, though, really, can't he?
It does seem that way. And it's this is when he kind of takes a shine to Danny in a sense, although he does give him like a tip of like 50 cents for caddying for him for the day.
Don't spend it all in one place.
Yeah, you're just like, what? And even Danny knows, because he can feel it in his hand, that it's just 2 coins. He just fucks it onto the table. Like, what a scabby bastard.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't stay rich by giving out big tips.
Yeah, well, it looks like he is rich. You get the idea that he is rich.
Well, he's a judge, so you'd imagine he's rich.
You imagine he's rich to an extent, and then Al comes in and you see, oh, there is a different type of rich here, because he's buying this shitty little dinghy later on, and Al's here with his fucking the big yacht, and he's like, hey, the dinghy on my boat's bigger than that thing you bought. He's just
he hates him as well, doesn't he?
The two boys hate each other. They're two very opposite. Al's very loud and out there, and the judge is very, the judge is more the reserved golfer. He's a more reserved golfer, the traditionalist of, quiet around. Similar to Happy Gilmore, the judge would be shooter, and then Al would be happy in this sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, one's quite loud and abrasive, and then the other is just, can we all calm down here and just take it nice and easy here? But they kind of go to the party in the clubhouse, and we see Ty goes outside with some girl. You never really hear too much about who this girl is. And the first time I watched it, I was like, is this the niece? And I was like, why is she?
It's the judge's niece, yeah.
It's not the judge's niece, though.
It is.
I don't think it is. No, this is the problem. I think that's what I thought as well. I don't think it is. I think it's a different girl.
I've watched this movie a million times. I always thought it was the judge's niece.
I don't think so. I think it's a different girl, because the judge's niece is meant to be, around the same sort of age as Danny, like. So, 17 or 18 or whatever. And I think this girl seems to know Ty quite well. Like she's talking to him as if they've known each other for quite some time. So you're kind of like,
it's because she loved the way he's dictated.
But you're, like the niece is only up for the first time visiting, so it's not like she'd know Ty that well. So
unless it's his daughter or something, and whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a strange one, but I don't think that's the niece. I think that's just some other girl, and they don't really
reference it.
Yeah, they don't reference her too much. Like, she's outside with them, and they look like they're gonna get stuck into each other. And then Carl's trying to kill that gopher, and he fires the gun with the light, but misses the gopher and hits the little potted plant beside them, and they're like, I think we'll go back inside. Someone's fucking shooting at us here.
Charles King, no. Like Bill Murray, like Rodney Dangerfield's brilliant in this. Chevy Chase is brilliant in this. But it's the little interactions that you see with Bill Murray that make this movie so funny.
Yeah, they're all three very different comedians in the film, though. Like none of them vie at each other's spot. Like Chevy Chase is the loud, like super full of himself and abrasive comedian.
Which is completely opposite to what he does as Clark Griswold.
Yeah, but then Chevy Chase's comedian is, he's a suave kind of, he's rich, but like doesn't live as if he's rich. And, he's a bit of a jokester, doesn't take life too seriously. Yeah. So he's like the middle ground. And then Carl is just this complete waster who's like a drunk pothead the whole time.
Well, I suppose if you're working on a golf course, you got nothing better to do.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like they're three comedians, but within the film, they're three different styles of comedy as well, which is great.
It's loud, normal, and
the poor man, the poor crazy man. Because you hear about him talking about how he caddied for the Dalai Lama earlier in the film and stuff. And you're like, I don't think so, mate.
Caddied for the Dalai Lama back in.
I love seeing Spalding, the nephew, get sick through the car, because you're kind of like, oh, well, that's a bit of a weird thing to do. And then it comes back to it like 2 minutes later when some guy comes out and he lets the girl into the passenger seat that gets into his seat and sits down, and you just hear the squish. And then the two of them are like retching in the car, and you're like, oh man, what the? You'd be so angry. Yeah, well, if you sat down,
I can deal with almost anything bar sick.
If you sat down into it though, like, Jesus, because the smell would be something else.
I just burned the car out. My car was burned. Sorry.
They're obviously rich enough. Just burn that car, get a new one. But we see them, out the next day on the golf course, and Danny's out with Ty, and he's practicing his putting, and his putting is something else. Like he's going around kicking the ball and chipping it with the putter and everything. Misses one.
The skill.
Yeah, and this is where he's asking Ty, he's like, do you know what you want to do with your life? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to win the Caddy Open and get the scholarship. He tells him, he's like, oh, there was a guy I knew that could have been a pro golfer back when and he's told Danny before that he didn't go to college. And he's like, I knew this guy, he went to college and he could have been a pro golfer. And then he got kicked out of the college on his last, the last week or whatever, because he went out and he was putting at night. And he's like, and then he says, that was my roommate. And you're like, wait, so you did go to college? But I think the truth is that the story is that he's the guy who could have been the pro golfer. They never touch on it again after this.
I think Carl mentions it, didn't he? Carl mentions it when he comes into where Carl lives. He says something about it. He says, you could have been that good.
I don't know. You see, Carl's stuff is kind of all rambling. You don't really know what he is and isn't talking about half the time.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure Carl mentions it to him, when Chevy Chase comes in.
Yeah. And
he says something to him then.
Yeah, it's a lot of rambling though, like, because he's completely mad. Like, he's cleaning his house with a leaf blower and everything, well, house, but I think the story really is that Ty could have been, and I don't think that he got kicked out of the school. I think he choked, because you do see it later in this, is that once the pressure is on, he starts choking. Once a crowd starts forming,
he got the curry leg.
Yeah, he can't play in front of a crowd, but Danny goes on and wins the caddy tournament, and then he goes and sees what we assume is his girlfriend Maggie.
Well, if it's not, he might be in some trouble.
No, like, it seems like it is his girlfriend, because he's met up with her kind of once or twice, and then then they all go down to the pool.
In the bedroom. Yeah,
I love this, that they go down to the pool, and like it says, open to the caddies, 1 o'clock to 1:15. This 15-minute period where they're opening the pool to the caddies, like, what the fuck?
Loud. Soon as you get in, you're told get back out.
Yeah. Well, not as soon as they get in, because they get in quick. There's no like getting changed or nothing. They're pre-changed and they are sprinting in, and they just absolutely wreck the shop. So I can see why they're not allowed in too frequently. Although they probably wouldn't wreck the shop if they're allowed in as like a bit more frequently.
Give them an hour.
Yeah, this is when we see Lacey, which is Judge Smale's niece, come in, and all the lads just stop and are looking at her. And I mean, like, Danny would want to get his fucking head on straight because he's sitting there with the fucking missus, you know.
Give your head a wobble, pal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying don't have a look, kid, but you know, maybe
Put
don't be
sunglasses on.
maybe don't be fucking sitting there staring at her the whole time, you know. So you've already got, she's already called you out for this once when you were working in the restaurant that time. Like, don't get caught a second time.
You might be in some serious bother.
Yeah, but then someone throws a chocolate bar into the pool. I love this. It has like kind of, it's not the Jaws music, but it's as close to the Jaws music as you'll get. And everyone panics. Oh my God, someone shit in the pool.
We got a floater.
I love it. They all fucking, you know, they all tear out of it. And then the pool's getting cleaned out and we see it must like Judge Smails, I think it is. Yeah. Judge Smails owns the pool, obviously, because he's getting it cleaned out. And I love this. Carl picks it up and just,
it's chocolate.
It's not that bad. And he just bites it. He doesn't say it's chocolate or anything. He just goes, it's not that bad, and just bites into it, which, you know, okay, fair enough. It's not a piece of shit, right? That I do accept that. But that has been floating around in a chlorine-filled pool that you've now drained, and it's on the floor of the pool. Still, I'm still not going to eat that.
No, chlorine cleans things. I'm still not eating it.
Yeah, it doesn't taste nice though. Like, you know.
Look, it is what it is.
Man, and that's why I say Carl's a fucking nutter. Like, he's absolutely insane. But
yeah, the way he speaks in this, you're right though. It is just pure rambling.
Oh yeah, like nothing's
apart from his speech about the Masters.
Yeah,
that's like there's nothing else to it.
Oh yeah, it's just he's just waffling on the whole time. But they go on and we see this, as we were saying earlier, we see the different levels of wealth because the judge is christening his boat, which they hit with the glass bottle and it's the like it just snaps in half. And, you know, it's meant to be the glass bottle that smashes, not the fucking boat. He
looks so angry, doesn't he?
He's so angry. And then Al comes in and starts wrecking everyone's time on the beach. Or, well, not the beach, but whatever it is, this lake. All the, like, lads on the jet skis, he's knocking them off. Yeah. Your man out fishing in his boat. He has to jump out with the boat and swim out of the way and everything.
Bail out.
And then the judge is like, stop. And he stops just short of him. And you're like, yeah, that sounds about right. And he goes, right. Drop anchor. Hey, you scratched my anchor.
Yeah, what is it? He becomes he's like a business developer, property developer.
Yeah, like he kind of mentions he's like, if you don't own like a huge amount of land, you know, you don't really own anything.
Yeah, it's all about land.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, and he's just absolutely wrecked your man's boat, and just, you know, well, like he is the funny guy in this. But he's such a dickhead as well. You're like, man, I would fucking hate this guy.
Like, obviously, Judge Smails is the protagonist.
Yeah, but he's not much better either, you know?
No, yeah, the two of them just wind each other up to bits, don't they?
Yeah, they're two different sides of the coin, but they're both dickheads. Like, you wouldn't like either of these people in real life. You'd be like, fuck me, these two are fucking wrecking me head.
Stay on the right side of the judge, you keep you out of prison.
Yeah, it just seemed like that until he, you know, he's telling Danny that story a little bit later where he had some kids younger than Danny put in the gas chambers, and you're like, Jesus Christ, man.
He definitely didn't. It's just the one.
Yeah, but like, imagine that. Oh, I've put kids younger than you in a gas chamber. Well, I mean, it's not Nazi Germany. Gas chambers aren't used anymore, man. Like, what the fuck?
In the 80s, the last gas chamber was used in 91.
Yeah, but you know, they're not gas chambering children. Like, you know, that's for, you know, serial murderers and stuff, not just, you know, some petty thief.
What you do? I robbed the candy bar chamber.
Yeah. Put him in a gas chamber. But while all that's happening, like, this is all kind of happening, and then Danny goes off with Lacey, and up into the judge's room, and, you know, again, they have a bit of fun up in the judge's room. But I mean, surely she has her own room. If she's staying here, she's not sleeping in there.
But I mean, you got to do it on the judge's bed. You bet your fucking ass you do it on the judge's bed.
Now, the one great thing about this is that you know, all this happens, and, you know, they're fighting, and all this is happening. And as Danny's going to run out of the house, we see the two older couples downstairs, and they're like, "Did they not say? Do you think tea is still happening?" And then the butler kind of gets knocked into the stairs, and the tea just crashes down in front of them. I love the old woman just kind of turns to either like her husband or the other couple, and she's just like, that must be the tea. So and you're like, oh, fucking hell, who's serving tea by throwing it down the stairs like that, for fuck's sake?
I mean, service.
It's just the way she delivers it. It's so deadpan. That must be the tea. So you're like, all right.
That's Mrs. Doyle-esque.
Yeah, you're gonna have that fucking tea, are you? Fair play to you. And Danny has to run out here, and he sleeps in the golf course. Like, I don't know really what it is, like kind of this like little building. That's where he apparently spends the night. Doesn't go home or anything. Yeah. Well, that's happening. Carl has brought some guy out for a round of golf, and this goes nowhere. He brings this guy out, and your man thinks he's on to break the course record in the piss and rain. And then, all the shots are going well for him. He slightly chips it, slightly puts it past the hole. The wind blows it back. Everything's going well. Everything's going great until the last fucking hole. And then he slightly overshoots it, and he lifts the club up, and the lightning strikes him. And you think that's going to go somewhere. No, Carl just leaves. Right, that lad's dead. Off I go.
I think it's to show that Carl will do literally anything.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He just leaves. That's it. He doesn't tell anyone. This lad's just been struck by lightning. I won't check if he's alive. Nothing. He got struck by lightning. I'm gone. That's me off.
He puts the clubs down and everything.
Yeah, just walks off. Right? I wasn't out with him. Fine. Like,
so funny because now the first couple of holes isn't even raining.
Yeah.
It's raining.
Yeah.
Need a bit of water.
Yeah, like you kind of think that would lead somewhere. Like, okay, this guy's just died on the golf course. Surely that'll lead somewhere. Oh, the course has been closed for a couple of days while this gets investigated. That's how they get the course open to do the bet that they do later on. No, nothing like that. Just that lad died. Right, on to the next bit.
So many little random things in this.
That's what I mean. Like, and even earlier on when Carl gets told to get rid of the gophers, and he pumps the water into the gopher hole and starts shooting up out of all the other holes, and nobody says anything to him. Off he goes. Just. And people are out playing golf, so why has nobody said anything to him? Just all right.
Nobody says that to crazy Carl.
Doesn't seem like it anyway, yeah. But it's so good the way that all happens, and then Danny gets woken up by Maggie, and she's like, "I'm late," and he's like, "What do you mean you're late? The club hasn't even opened yet." She's like, "No, not that."
God damn it, Danny!
Wake up. Late. And he's like, well, whatever you decide to do, if you want to keep it or you don't. She's like, no, I'm keeping it. And he's like, okay, well, we'll get married then. She's like, no. And he's like, yeah, no, yeah. Why wouldn't we get married? Well,
trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, and then she turns around and she says, it might not even be yours. And you're like, oh. And he doesn't react to that at all. He's just like, of course it's mine. Let's not be silly here. And you're like, I don't know, dude. Like, you just cheated on her. Like, why do you think she didn't cheat on you?
I mean, like, it's there. The option is there.
Like, he has the chance to walk away, and he never tells her that he cheated on her, and no one else seems to know, except the judge, obviously, who has that weird conversation with him where he talks about gas chambering kids and being like, let's just keep it under wraps that you slept with my niece. And you're like, oh, okay. Is that like your biggest concern? And he, Danny's like, yeah, all right, I won't tell anyone as long as, you stop trying to kill me with golf clubs and stuff. Yeah, cool.
I mean, I'm not going to tell anyone why, because my missus is around the corner.
Yeah, and she thinks she might be pregnant, so I was going to say nothing.
For somebody else.
Yeah. But, actually, the meeting with the judge is after she tells him she's pregnant. So I can see why he doesn't mention it then. And then the judge is like, yeah, just let's not tell anyone. He's like, yeah, I'll tell no one. And then he goes out and Maggie's out celebrating, and she's like, oh, I'm not pregnant. And he's like, oh, great. And he's like, oh, and I better not tell her. But he doesn't even call her out then. What do you mean? Like, do you know earlier when you said maybe it's not mine? Were you with somebody else? He doesn't even question it.
I mean, they're all definitely riding everyone.
Yeah, they must be, but he doesn't question it at all. He's just like, all right, yeah, it could be somebody else's, but it's definitely, like, he's very convinced it's definitely his, but
it's very naive one, isn't it? It's just kind of like
yeah, but like if she's your girlfriend and you're meant to feel like you're kind of meant to feel bad that you cheated on her or whatever, then what's the story there? Like, do you not care that she's told you that she potentially cheated on you at all?
Unless they referenced it earlier in the movie, which they don't, that they have like an open relationship where they're just doing it for fun, or
no. Well, the girl, she always seems to be quite jealous when he keeps watching
No, that's what I mean. But like, if they had referenced it earlier to say, yeah, but there's just nothing to it. Like,
no. Well, we see it kind of gets onto the meat of the film now, where we get the big bet between Al and Smales when they're playing pool. Well, Ty's playing pool, and the two of them kind of get into a big like not a big fight, but they're kind of shouting at each other, and they're like, right, we'll have a nice gentleman's bet here, 10 grand that I beat you and the I don't know, priest by the looks of it. Although he keeps saying that he's getting like messages from medical emergencies, and you're like, wait, is he a priest or a doctor? What the hell's the story with this guy?
He's a surgeon, isn't he?
See, I'm not sure, because he always dresses with the little priest collar on him as well, so I'm never sure.
Did he not? Do you know? Remember when they're in the locker room, and he says, "Oh, the surgeon there."
Yeah, that's what I thought. But then he always seems to be dressed like a priest. So I'm like, is he a priest as well? I don't really know.
I don't know.
But
I always remember him to be the surgeon.
Yeah, it's the two of them anyway, and they're going to take on Al and Ty. And Ty kind of doesn't really want to get involved until the judge tries to, twist his arm. And he's like, come on, you join me. Me and your dad were great friends. And he's like, my dad hated you. And he's like, I'll tell you what, let's make it 40 grand. And, it's meant to just be the two of them, or like a 2v2. So he's like, no big nerves. 40 grand's not much money to him, because we've heard earlier that he's like got uncashed checks of 70 grand in his house. So, 40 grand's obviously not that much to him either.
Yeah.
So he's like,
he just doesn't want to live it.
Yeah. And you're kind of like, well, obviously it doesn't, it's not a big deal to him. So he's not going to feel any pressure or anything like that. This is just going to be a bit of fun, and he'll be able to make fun of the judge when he beats him. But it doesn't end up like that, because the rumors start flying. Do you hear they've got 100 grand bet on this? And you're like,
so funny.
They're all taking like little bets. Oh, I bet you the Spalding kid picks his nose. Oh, I bet you he eats it. And it's just, they're all betting like all these little small stupid bets, and the lads are out here playing golf, and a huge crowd has showed up.
Yeah, it's like the final day of a tournament.
Yeah, this huge crowd shows up, and everything seems to be going well, except obviously Al is fucking shit at golf.
Yeah, he's terrible. Isn't he?
He's so bad. Like, I don't know why he's talking this big game. And even Ty says it to him. He's like, I don't know what's wrong with me. And he's like, you're bad at golf.
Remember, like, even when you see him earlier, he has like a little radar thing on his
tells him how to put, yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's mad.
But like, things are going well. Like, Ty seems to be kind of keeping that team in it, and then Al is kind of just completely letting them down. And then he hits the ball off the tree, and it bounces back and hits him slightly on the arm. And he's like, ow. And he's like, oh, I think my arm's broken. And the surgeon comes over and goes, yeah, that's definitely broken. We're going to have to call it. You're going to have to call it there. And then Smales is like, that's a forfeit. And he's like, whoa, no. We'll get a sub in. And, who are you going to pick? You're obviously going to pick the kid who won the caddy tournament. And in comes Danny. Oh, well, Danny won't play. He's, will you, Danny? The judge is trying to kind of trick him into not playing, and he's like, yeah, no, I'll play.
Let's play.
They play away, and this is when Ty, like, the huge crowd obviously gets to Ty, and this is what we mean. Like, he has the old jelly legs. He can't stand the pressure of everyone watching him, which is why he obviously never went pro. Because he starts missing shots and missing easy putts and everything. He's just awful from here on in.
He does it after Happy gets hit with the Volkswagen. When he goes into that spell, it's exactly like that.
Yeah, it's just everything's going wrong. But Danny manages to keep Ty in it.
He's holding putts from everywhere.
Yeah, and we get down to the final hole, and it's it's all level.
Danny dimes.
Yeah, it's all level, and we see the surgeon steps up and slightly misses his putt, then he makes it, and then the judge steps up and he makes his putt. So 3 shots for them to finish off the hole. So you're kind of looking at Ty, and you're like, well, Ty should easily be able to make this putt, and that gives Danny 2 chances. And Danny's is a fairly simple putt, like, it's not far out, so you'd be quite confident that he's going to make it in 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Ty misses his one, and then he has to take the second shot to finish it off, leaving Danny with 1 shot. And they say it to him like, there's no pressure on you, but if you miss this shot, we lose. Like, And then just as he lines up the shot, he's ready to take it. And just before he takes it, because obviously if he makes this, it's just a draw. So then the bet's worth nothing. Al shouts over at the judge, 80 grand that he makes this putt. And the judge just kind of mumbles something back. And Ty is like, what was that? And he's like, yeah, fine. And Danny's lining up his shot again. I love this because this is when you get the classic line. Well, we're waiting. So good.
We actually missed just before that match starts. We missed Carl's big.
This is what the big ramble. Yeah.
And he's going up the 12th hole of Augusta here. Boom! He's hitting the sunflowers with the rake.
Yeah, and then Danny was out, or Ty was out practicing the night before, and we see Danny's making, or sorry, not Danny, Carl is making the little the rabbit out of C4 and stuff like that, and the gopher obviously sees him doing this. Very, very clever gopher, and that's when you get the big rambling thing of, look at this, like I grew my own grass, and like you can play 16 holes on it. I don't know why you play 16 holes on it, but you play 16 holes on it, and then you go home and you can just smoke it. And you're like, well, first of all, you're missing the last 2 holes, or you've played an extra couple of holes if you're only meant to be playing 9.
Yeah, it's cross between Bermuda and Kentucky something.
Yeah, and I love it. He's like, here, have a pull of this and drink some of this, and then have a pull of this and then drink some of this. And Ty is just like, no, I'm just gonna go, man.
I need to go. I need to be on the best.
It's down to Danny to make this one shot, and he takes it, and it's looking good, and it falls just short. 80 grand, and you're just like, man, poor kid. Like, this kid doesn't have fucking 80 grand to be handing out to anybody.
Well, he wasn't handing it out. It was coming off Dangerfield anyway.
Yeah, it was, but you're still like, oh, Jesus, you'd feel fucking bad for him. And then, obviously, the explosions. Carl's genius plan of putting, like, 30 C4 explosives around the entire golf course goes off.
And there's bombs everywhere.
Yeah. And the ground obviously starts shaking. People seem to, like, kind of react to this in the fact that they turn around to all these explosions going off. But nobody seems to run. They all just going to stay there.
What's happening?
The judge is just standing over the ball as it's shaking. And then it drops in and he's like, it's in, yeah. And everyone's cheering for Danny, and, he's won. And Ty goes to walk off, and he just kind of gives him the wave and points down at the hole. And then that's kind of like, Al goes over. He's like, now, Judge, you owe me 80 grand. He's like, I'm not giving you anything. He turns over, and there's the 2 boyos there. Help him find his wallet there, will you?
You can't do this, I'm a judge.
And off he runs. And then obviously we have to finish the film the same way we opened it. The gopher pops back up, still alive and dancing away. So it's a great film, but like, as you said, it's a very different, like, the plot line is just all over the place, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a strange movie. It works so well because of the way they put the story together.
Yeah.
But like, if you tried to make this now, it just wouldn't happen.
No, I don't think so. It's too scatterbrained and stuff.
Yeah, it's a different type of comedy that there is now. Yeah, like,
Carl never seems to get in trouble. And like, even after this, he makes that big explosion, he just walks off. And like, so far in this film, we've seen Carl put a hose pipe down this gopher hole and shoot loads of water up everywhere in the middle of the day when everyone's playing, right? Then we've seen him fire a gun that nearly killed somebody.
We've seen him take out the sunflowers.
Smokes a load of weird weed and some strange drink. He's made a load of C4 explosions. He has literally watched a man die after, we're assuming dead, after getting struck by lightning, and just walked off and done nothing about it. And then blown up the entire golf course and just wandered off as well.
He's a goat.
Yeah, it's a bit strange because you're just like, why does nobody pay any attention to this? And then, we see Danny, who's just, just this young kid who's the world on his shoulders for this golf tournament. 80 grand that he makes this putt, you'd be fucking shitting it.
What happened?
I know it's not your money.
Again, the hole goes from that size.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not your money, but you'd still be like, fuck, everyone's watching me. And it's an easy
But
enough put as well.
You'd know though in your heart and soul, if you're doing that put for Al there, he's gonna give you money.
Oh yeah, like because you've seen Al fucking throws the money around, you know.
And it's obviously nothing to him.
Oh yeah, he's just firing money at people, you know. Here, keep the change. Here, buy this. Here, play some jazz, like upbeat jazz music and stuff. And everything. Like he's just firing the money around. Like it's nothing.
It's funny when he walks into the party, he's just handing things out to people.
Yeah, I know it's a great film, and as we said, like 3 different comedians in it, and they all play a different style of comedy, and even the judge is like very comedic in it as well. But he's the dickhead kind of comedy guy, rather than or Ted Knight, rather than being like
Ted Knight, sorry,
like he's the dickhead that funny things keep happening to. Then you have Al, who's the loudmouth, abrasive, but kind of lovable, but also a dickhead. Then you have Ty, who's the middle of the road. No, he's kind of the middle of the road. Like he's real chill, down to earth, but still quite funny. And then you have Carl, who's just this fucking
mental case.
Yeah, as Brooklyn Nine-Nine, mangy Carl. This is mangy Carl.
Mangy Carl.
Yeah, but no, it's another classic. As we said at the start, it's not really like it doesn't focus a whole lot on Bill Murray, but he definitely stands out in it as well. Like he's not overshadowed by anyone.
I'm trying to think. This might have been his breakout role.
It could have been, yeah. I'm trying to think what else could have been. I always kind of forget that this was before Ghostbusters.
Yeah, like this is early 80s.
Yeah. Now there is a Caddyshack 2 that I've never seen.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's all about the gopher again.
Well, I assumed so, because the gopher is kind of like one of the main points of it. But yeah, I never bothered watching the second one.
I think this is his breakout role, because from what I can see here, Stripes is 81. 81. Meatballs. Bill Murray's Meatballs was 79.
Yeah, but like if that came out in 79 and this came out in 80, they were probably being filmed relatively close to each other. Like it could have been one or the other sort of thing,
Yeah. 84.
Yeah, this must be about it. And it's why he's not the biggest name on the thing either, yeah.
Oh, Where the Buffalo Roams as well was 1980. So he had 3 movies kind of come out.
Yeah, so like he's obviously filmed them all, so it's just whichever kind of came out.
This one went big though.
Not in the cinema, yeah.
Yeah, it became a cult classic.
Yeah, it definitely did. And I think it probably became a cult classic in the early 90s when golf kind of took off.
Yeah.
And people went back and watched it and were like, it actually is very, very good.
The likes of this, Tin Cup and things like that all kind of picked off, didn't it? And Happy Gilmore. And...
Yeah. And see, this is the thing. Like, I could understand why someone would prefer this as a golf film over Happy Gilmore. I definitely could understand it.
Yeah.
But for me, I suppose there's also a thing of like, when I was growing up, one of the biggest comedian actors anyway, not comedians, but like comedy actors would have been, there for Happy Gilmore. Like that was, you'd seen him in so much stuff.
Yeah.
You'd grown accustomed to him,
Yeah, it's the same comedy style for every movie, though. And that was the problem. But it wasn't the problem at the time.
Yeah.
Because the type of comedy that worked at that stage.
Yeah, in that early 90s.
Last so long.
Yeah, that early 90s to 2000s sort of, it worked really well for there. And then after that, you're like, okay, you need to broaden your range, which obviously Bill Murray does. And like most actors do end up, like even Robin Williams broadens his range. It's like, I know he's a bit earlier than that as well, but you know what I mean? Like,
he was clinically underrated as an actor, though. I know we said it when we done Robin Williams in November.
Yeah, but like he was just a comedy. Like he was actually just a comedian, and then he went into acting, and he was just the quirky.
He was gold as well. Yeah,
but he was the quirky kind of weird comedy guy, and then he was like, no, I'll start taking on some more serious roles, and that's what kind of.
Yeah, like again, he's another person that's like Bill Murray there. Like you think Robin Williams, always known for comedy and things, right? Mrs. Doubtfire's not a fucking comedy.
It's not when you look back on it, but when you were a kid, it was.
Hook is not a comedy.
Well, Hook was never a comedy. Hook was
more. But I know it's a kids' film, but like a lot of Robin Williams ones aren't comedies. Like, same as Bill Murray.
Yeah, Mrs. Doubtfire is a comedy. It's just as we've grown older and the world has started to understand things differently, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not seen as a comedy, but at the time, yeah, it was definitely just a pure comedy.
Yeah.
But yeah, now those are all on previous episodes. This is Bill Murray's month, and so far the 3 films have all been very good. Although the only one so far that I wouldn't say is rewatchable too much was last week's one in
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day. This one's definitely rewatchable, and so is Ghostbusters, as we've watched them multiple times.
The next week's one now will throw a lot of people, and I'd say a lot of people probably mightn't have seen it.
Yeah. I haven't seen the one for next week yet now, so I'm gonna have to watch that. This was one that you picked. We won't say what it is yet. People can guess below if they want. But yeah, I'm looking forward to watching this one now.
Yeah, it's a strange one.
Yeah,
it's a good one though.
But
I will say it's not Osmosis Jones.
No, but until then, that's it for this week. So good luck.